Now that we have loaded the map successfully in the last lecture, and also we have seen what different components it takes to create the map, in this video we will try to focus more on specifically the layer component. Layer component is very important because using this component you can add multiple layers and then you can change their behaviors. In this video we will see what different types of layers are supported by OpenLayers, what are different characteristics that these layers holds, and then how to change them. Let's start with basically changing the base map. Until this point, we were using OpenStreetMap as our base map provider, but that is not the case. We are not just stuck with the OpenStreetMap as a base map. In this video, we will see what different providers are available right out of the box, and then how to use any custom provider such as Esri or Mapbox, something like that. First, I will make this map with rotation of 0. Okay. Now, let's just head over to the documentation one more time. And now we will see what are different sources available. Because if you have a look at the code, ol.source.osm is basically a source of the map. So if any other base map source is available, we can replace this with that and then we will have the base map. If I head over to the API doc and if I search for ol.source, you can see that there are so many sources that we can choose from. Right away we can see that Bing Maps is one of the base map provider. OSM is also one of the base map provider. ArcGIS REST maybe. Then we have Stamen, again a base map provider. And one of the most important thing that we have to look for is the XYZ. This will become helpful when you have your custom source map provider. Let's just start with the very simple one, that is using Stamen. Stamen is tile server where we have some of the very fun base map available. So if I go to the Stamen tiles and if I look for their website, you will see that they have this funny watercolor, a terrain, toner, and things like that. Let's try to use this watercolor. If I head over to the Stamen, you can see that the layer source for the Stamen tile provider, where the required thing is the layer name. What layer do you want to load? Let's just go with the basic one of watercolor. I will copy this new ol.source.stamen from here and I will paste it in my code, where let's say we will remove this source and then we will replace this source with the new one where the layer will be, let's say, watercolor. Apart from layer, let's just see if anything else is required. Cache size is not required because the default is available. Minimum maximum zoom is not required. Opaque is not required. I think we are good to go. Load map application, and you can see that the watercolor base map is there. You can see that how easy it is to change the base map in OpenLayers. I can also select the toner. If I click on toner, you can see that it looks like a black and white combination. So if I go back and change it to toner, I can load the base map in a toner format. This is fun, right? Now, what about the custom tiles? So if you want to use Esri's base map or Mapbox's base map, or let alone like if you create your own base map, you can also use that in the OpenLayers. Usually, base map has three main characteristics of X, Y, Z, which the OpenLayers gets on the fly, and then we basically load that tile from the server. What do I mean by that is if I open the inspect tab right now and if I go to the network and if I zoom in, zoom out, you can see that these tiles are loaded and each one of these tiles will have X, Y, and Z. If I click on any one of these images which are loaded, you can see that X, Y, and Z are changing as we load more and more images. So that is the representation of XYZ. That means whenever you will create your own base map, you will have to have images available for all of these XYZ points, so that whenever OpenLayers request for these different tiles, we can fetch it back from our server. One of the best example that we can use as an XYZ is loading an S3 base map into our OpenLayers application. I'm not going to type anything. I'm just going to go into examples and then look for the XYZ examples. And you can see that we can load the here base map tiles, or we can also load the XYZ S3. If I click on it, I can simply look for the code of the source as an XYZ, and here you can see that Esri has provided the link and then the world topo map, which is a type of the map, and then the tiles are in ZYX. So this is how exactly the tiles has to be provided whenever we are adding the source as an XYZ. We will always have these three variables, either ZYX or XYZ, and then according to that the tiles will be loaded. I will simply copy this source as it is and I will replace it in our application. I will copy it, I will head over to our application and I will replace it. If I save this right now and if I head back to my application, you can see that now we are loading SRE's data. And the way to confirm that is if we go into the network tab and then click on any one of these layer again, you can see that we have the server and then we have three random numbers. For us it is random, but there is obviously a logic behind it. This is how we can change the base map in OpenLayers. Now that the base map is sorted, let's just have a look at what other data types OpenLayers supports. Usually, we can divide GIS data into two main categories. First is raster layer and second is vector layer. In raster layer, we ideally load the data either as a tile format or as an image format. The difference between both of these formats is that in tile format, the entire image is loaded into smaller tiles. Usually this is the behavior we see when we load the base map. If I quickly zoom into any one of the location, you can see that this image is getting sharper tile by tile. That means whenever we request any extent to load it, the extent is divided into smaller tiles and then each of these individual tiles are getting downloaded. While sometimes this is not the behavior we want. Sometimes we want to load an entire layer as just a single image. OpenLayers also allows us to do that. Apart from that, in vector layer we can do so many things. We can load the layer directly from GeoJSON file. We can load the vector layer even as a raster layer, that we will see how to do. We can also load the layer as a heat map layer or even as a cluster layer. OpenLayers has a lot of these functionalities, and most importantly, the documentation of all of these are well written. Now let's head over to the documentation of OpenLayers and see what different types of layers are supported by default. If I search for ol.layer in the 4.6.5 API document, OpenLayers has few classes, few types of layers available, such as base, group, heat map, image, layer, tile, vector and vector tile. Out of this, tile and image are two layer types which we were discussing right now. Let's just have a look at what options are provided inside each one of these layer types. Usually, there are some common options that we have to pass whenever we are loading any type of layer. Some of them are the sources, which is required. Right now, using ol.layer, we are just initiating the layer. Now inside that layer, we have to provide options such as like what is the source of that layer? Is the layer visible? What is the opacity of the layer? And what is the z-index of the layer? Z-index basically represents at what level do you want to see that layer. That means if you load multiple image layers or even tile layers, which is the layer that you want to see at the very top? And this is the property that is handled by z-index. Now let's just try to load a tile layer using GeoServer as the source of it. We can see that whenever we are creating ol.layer.tile, For the sources, we will have to have ol.source.tile. So the tile layer requires tile source. If I click on it, you can see that different options available for tile sources will also be given. Now let's just create a very simple tile layer. I will head over to the Visual Studio Code and we will create a layer. Now instead of writing the layer inside this layer array, we will create it as a separate variable and then we will inject it into our map. So the usual way that I follow to create layer is that first I define a variable of the source, second I define a variable of the layer, and third I add that layer into the map. So let's just start with creating the source first. Create WMS source, for which we will be using tile WMS. So I will go to the ol.source and then I will be looking for the tile WMS. Since we are loading from GeoServer, which gives us the data as a WMS format, we will look for how to load a tile WMS. You can see that OL source has a lot of different classes, lot of different properties available which we can use, and we are interested in tile WMS at the moment. So I will be loading a source of tile WMS. And now let's just have a look at what options do we have to provide. So the most important option that we have to provide is the URL. What is the URL of that tile WMS? I already have GeoServer up and running on my machine. So I can head over to localhost 8080/GeoServer. I will try to load a very simple layer. Let's just say a layer of the United States. There we go. Now if I click on open layers, it will open the layer in a different page where I can then copy the URL and then use it. The first thing I will be doing is I will be copying the URL. So URL will be this, and then apart from URL I have to pass the parameters. If I head over to the API doc, you can see that under params we have to pass an object where we have to write the layer name, which layer we want to load. So I will copy the params and then I will create an object where I pass layers as the layer name that I'm interested in. So if I go back to my GeoServer, the layer name is TOPP:states. If you don't know what is GeoServer, feel free to browse through my another videos where I've explained what exactly is GeoServer and how to use it. Finally, I will add the server type as a GeoServer. This is also one of the properties. So I will copy the server type as a GeoServer. And then I will now create the layer, the actual layer variable. We have created the source, now it's time to create the layer. Create WMS layer var WMS layer equals to new ol.layer.tile, inside which now we will add the source that we created as a source of this layer. So the source will become WMS source. Notice that for the tile layer, we don't have to give the style because the style is already taken care by GeoServer. That means whenever we will ask for any URL, any PNG, the GeoServer will take care of styling and then it will just give us back the image that we have to show on the map. And finally, we will add this layer on the map. Add layer to map. Map.add layer, and then we will pass the variable. Awesome. We have defined the source, we have defined the layer, and then we are finally adding the layer to the map. Now if I head back to the application and if I reload it, you can see that now the state layer is coming. If you have noticed the behavior, it loaded the layer as a tile. You You can see that the layer is getting loaded in parts. This is how we add the tile layer. What if we don't want to add it in parts? What if we want to add it as a single image? To do that, we will simply copy this same URLs and use them. Now we will create the image WMS layer. Create image WMS layers. To create image WMS layer, all we have to do is load a source of image WMS and then create a tile of image type. Both of them are available for you to read in the documentation. If I head back to the ol.source, you can see that image WMS is also one of the type of OL source available. So I will simply now load that. So I will create first variable, create image WMS source, var img WMS source is equal to new ol.source.image WMS. You can simply copy it from the documentation as well. And I will pass the same URL, same parameters and same server type that we had earlier. Then I will create layer, create image WMS layer, var img WMS layer is equal to new ol.layer.image, and then I will pass this newly created image WMS source as a source, and finally I will simply add it on the map. Add layer to the map. Map dot add layer image WMS. Now in order for us to see the difference, I will simply comment the earlier tile layer so that you can see how the behavior is different this time. If I now head back to the application and let it load, you can see that the entire image is loaded as a one single image. You can see that we loaded the layer in one go. There is no tile like behavior now. This is the main difference between tile and image layer. You can load different types of WMS sources into the map either by adding it as a tile or as an image layer. Now we will try to understand how to load the vector data in our OpenLayers application. If I look for the OL source.vector, you will see that vector data is usually a combination of different types of data streams. First is you can create a vector layer based on the OpenLayers features that you can create, which is the single entity of each individual feature, or you can also load URLs. In this format though, the URL will be a URL which will show or which will download the GeoJSON or KML or KMZ or any such files. In this video, we will be using the data available to us in our application, which is a GeoJSON of all the airports information available to us. We will try to load this GeoJSON data into our OpenLayers map. To create a vector layer, we will first have to create the vector source. So let's just start with that. Create vector layer from GeoJSON. So we will create first variable, create variable of vector source is equal to new ol.source.vector. Now that we will be using URL, there are some things that we have to take care of. Whenever we are using the URL, we want to be sure that the format is also provided. What type of data are we expecting out of that URL? So for example, if we are using GeoJSON, then we have to give the format as a GeoJSON. Again, we cannot just write GeoJSON because you can see that it is not a string. It is asking us to provide the data type in the format. If I click on it, you will see that ol.format has different types of formats available, and we are more interested into GeoJSON. You can see that there are so many formats supported by OpenLayers. We will be using GeoJSON in this case though. So now let's head back to the VS Code and start with first adding the URL. Since in this example we have the file available with us, I can just give the relative path of the file. But if the file is hosted somewhere, you can also provide that as a URL. Now we will also add the format. For format, if we head over to the browser and if we click on GeoJSON, you can simply copy this format and add it. Okay, now the source is created. Let's create the vector layer now. Var vector layer is equal to new ol.layer.vector. Source is vector source. But wait, now here is the trick. In the earlier example, we were using the tile or image WMS where the geo server was taking care of the styling. But now we just have the raw data. We have to take care of styling inside OpenLayers. If I add this layer right now to my map, it will still work because OpenLayers has some default styling available to it. First, we will load the data with the basic styling and then we will see how exactly we can also play with the styling. Finally, I will simply add this data to the map. Map.addLayer, vector layer, and then let's just see how does it behave in the application. Something went wrong and we were not able to find the data. And I will simply remove this slash and then there we go. You can see that we have all these dots available to us on the map, which are basically representation of airports that we fetched from the GeoJSON. You can see that without even providing any style information, OpenLayers is taking care of some default styling. But this is something we can definitely change. Now that the data is loaded, we can also load the style. Styling in itself is a very vast topic in OpenLayers because you can control this style based on feature properties. For example, if some feature has some specific properties, you can define it with some specific style. For others, you can define some other styles and things like that. But for now, let's just stick with very basic styling. I will head over to the API documentation and I will search for ol.style. Usually OpenLayers style is a combination of the fill, the stroke and the image. Fill takes care of whatever we are creating style, what should be the fill of that. It can be a color of different opacity. Then we come at the stroke. Stroke basically defines what will be the outline of that style, what will be the line width, what different type of line it will be. And finally we have image, which is a combination of the circle, which basically represents a point, and there we can define the radius of the circle, the stroke of the circle and also the fill of the circle. If you have a look at ol.style, you can see that this is the default style available. So if no style is defined, the following default style will be used by OpenLayers. Here you can see that we have image, which will take care of the point data. We have fill and stroke, which will take care of polygon data, and then just stroke, which will take care of the line data. Since we only have the image data, that means we only have the point data, we will just use the image format. I will simply copy it up to the image. I can also load the fill and stroke, but that is not necessary for us in this video. And I will add it here. I will make sure that all the tags are closed properly. And I don't have the fill variable, which I have here. So I can simply copy this from here and then use it as my fill, and then copy it from here and then use it as my stroke. There we go. Now you can choose any color that you want. So let's just go with complete red for the fill with full opacity, and then let's just use the green for the stroke with width of 2. I don't know how weird it will look, but let's just have a look. Let's head over to the browser and go to our application. And you can see that now the data has different styling. You can see that we have the circles with the red fill and the green boundary with the radius of 5. We can also play with the radius. If we make it 15, it will become a little bit larger, and then it might look weird. But the good news here is that the code is working. So this is how we can also play with the styling. Vector layers are a critical thing to load, because if you try to load too much data as a vector layer in your browser, it might crash the browser, or it might make the entire application little bit slower. You have to be very careful working with the vector layer. That's why different strategies are available to load the vector layer. One of the most widely used strategies is to just load the data which you need in the current extent, and then as you keep on changing the extent, more and more data will be loaded. You can find a working example of such strategy inside the examples. If you just look for the, there we go. If you have a look at WFS, you can see that now in this strategy, the example shows that we are loading the data as per the extent. Whatever is the extent, we will just fetch that data. By doing that, the application is quite fast, and then whenever we change the extent, the new data is loaded for just that extent. This is very clever behavior. Finally, we will see that how to create a heat map. You can see that if I zoom out to the world level, the map looks quite noisy. You can see that there are so many airports, but we don't get any sort of information like what might be the dense area. And then there is this, the way we are looking at it right now might not be the best way to visualize it. We can create heat map by keeping the same source but creating a new layer type, which is a heat map. If I head over to ol.layer and look for the heat map, you will see that the heat map uses the same vector source that we created earlier, but just the type of layer is different. Earlier it was ol.layer.vector, and now it will be ol.layer.heatmap. You can see that most of the things in the heat map are already predefined, such as like the gradient, the radius, the shadow, and all that kind of things. So we'll simply create a new heat map by using the same source and keeping all of other properties as default. I will comment out this and then create heat map var heat map layer is equal to new ol.layer.heatmap, and then we'll just use the same source equals to vector source, and then we will add it to the map.add_layer heat map layer. If I save this and if I go back to my application, you can see that now the data is loaded as a heat map. There are so many properties that we can change. For example, we can change the gradient, the color coding that is used by default. We can also change how much blur we want. We can also change if we need shadow, if we need different radius, and all these kinds of things. Now, in order for us to create pop-up, we will load the data as a vector data only. So I will simply remove this and add back the vector data. I can also play with the style a little bit, where I change the radius to 2. And then there we go. Finally, we have a map where we have the custom base map, a custom tile WMS layer, and then also the vector data on which now we will apply the pop-up. Thank you.